A frightening new study released by Haleon points to contaminants in our tap water contributing to over 100,000 cancer cases in the U.S. since 2010. Host of RT's Redacted Tonight, Lee Camp, a dear friend of mine, is here to break it down for us. Lee, the study authored by Haleon points to scores of cancer cases that are linked with contaminants in our drinking water. How has the EPA gone about prioritizing to protect our water supply?
Have they really? I think they've. You know, this is the ongoing capture of the regulatory agencies by our, corporate state. And they've been just gutting these regulations. It's ongoing years, and obviously, Trump has sped it up. But, he's done that by just putting into place people at these agencies that just want to tear apart the agency. They call it rollback, right? Rollback of regulations. Really what it is gutting the remaining regulations. And I think we should also keep in mind it's not just Trump. These people have to be approved. Wheeler had to be approved by our Congress, and Scott Pruitt, and these absolute villains that, just want corporations to run wild. They act like they have a right to do, right? That's what Trump said. It gets in the way of the rights of farmers, et cetera, et cetera. But really, don't we have a right to clean water? Don't we have a right to not get cancer in this country?
Understand, most of the cases I handle now with big environmental cases actually originated back in the Clinton years.
Yeah.
So if we're ever going to get a handle on it, we have to first understand that the regulators that are put in these positions, most of the time they come from silk stocking corporate entities. They may be the silk stocking Covington and Burling firm in Washington, D.C., but they're always the big money people who really don't give a flip about consumers. They care about their bottom line. That's the way they've come up. And when they move into that regulatory position, they go golfing with everybody they're supposed to regulate, and then they get a job offer from that person they're supposed to regulate. But who do these findings put at risk as you look at this material, Lee? Who is it that's at biggest risk from these findings?
Well, I mean, that's truly the sad part. Is it's the weakest among us, right, who suffer the quickest and harshest penalties. It's the infants, it's the elderly. It's a kind of similarity to our economic sanctions on other countries. Who gets hit the worst? It's those who are not strong enough or don't have the exceptional wealth to be able to avoid drinking out of the tap water. Now we're almost getting to a point where the truly wealthy can use bottled water for everything. They feed their dogs bottled water. They feed their plants coconut water, which is cannibalism. But we're getting nearly to that point, and it's because they don't care. The ruling elite that are making these decisions, the head regulators, like you say, are in bed with these corporations, and apparently they don't care that it's 38% of Americans will be diagnosed with cancer at some point in their lives. And again, the wealthiest have generally the health care plans that can help deal with that if they end up in that situation. And speaking about what you were saying about the corporate interests and everything, and how this has been going on under many presidents for a long time now, you know better than anyone that these people you're going after in these lawsuits, they give to both sides of the aisle. They fund both sides so that they can know whoever gets in that top office is still going to reward them.
DuPont, they poisoned the water of 70,000 Americans in the Ohio River Valley with something that every scientist that has looked at says, yes, this causes cancer. And so I guess if you think about it, add to that now Trump's wanting to repeal the Clean Water Rule. I mean, what's his motivation there, Lee? Where does that take Trump to be able to repeal the Clean Water Rule? What happens? Why does the president say, yeah, that's a good idea?
Well, we do know Trump's about one person, and that's Trump. So it does bring up the question, what does he care about the Clean Water Rule? Is this, that's not something he's spent his life caring about. But really what it is just rewarding his corporate base. He's basically the id of the corporate state has just run wild. There's nothing stopping it now. The curtain has come off, and we can see what it looks like. And he's not, as we know, he doesn't even read these documents. Do you think think the bills that gut these regulations, and do you think he's really spending his 4 a.m. hour reading through these things? No, he's watching Fox News and tweeting. So who is it that's doing this? Well, it's the people he's putting in place. He has rewarded the corporate totalitarian state by giving them these positions, by giving it to Wheeler, giving it to Scott Pruitt, and then those people are approved by our corporate bought Congress. So, he's basically just said gloves are off. There, go for it,
Yeah, right. At least in the past, presidents who've done that have been somewhat apologetic, but they've done the same thing. Trump simply is not apologetic. Thank you for joining me, Lee. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
I'd like to do this story again because we're going to find more and more of these types of stories developing, certainly in the next year when Trump may feels like he's out of time. This is an important message for our nation's veterans. If you served our country in the military between 2003 and 2015 and you suffered significant hearing loss, you might be entitled to compensation, because the hearing protection you were issued may be at fault for the damage you suffered, but you need to act now. Your time to make a claim might be limited. Learn more at levinlaw.com/earplugs.